Hello, ma'am.
Hello, how are
So
you?
I'm very good, and I just wanted to interview regarding SCC about your LLB career, law career, and also about your achievements in the field of mooting, debating, research paper, and all. So, just starting with the first question, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your interest and reasons for pursuing law?
Okay, so I think one of the most cliche reasons for me pursuing law was because I hated maths. That was one thing that actually was there. Second was because I have had a keen interest in debating during my school time. So I've participated in a lot of debates. So there I knew that, I could convince the other one, if not convince, at least put my points forth. So that was something that I knew that I wanted to do something when it came to public speaking, which made me research a lot of things, and then I finally landed up on law. The other was my inspiration with respect to senior advocate Ram Jethmalani. I was very inspired by him because I had seen him. I've heard him, so like it was very inspiring for me. So I was like, no, I want to do this. And of course, there was this when you're young and things like you want to fight for the public justice and things like that. I think that was something that made me choose law. So there were mainly these two, three things. The other was when I entered my law school, I realized that this is a completely different field. It's not just about going to the court or just like providing justice, or it's not just that, it's way beyond that. Like for me, honestly, I had no idea that there were law firms of these kinds and this magnitude that they exist. Of course, I knew that people are indulging in legal work and things like that. So that was one thing. The other thing, so I think also law provides you with a lot of exposure and opportunities which people don't realize. Like for example, a lawyer could also do a lot of things with respect to finance and like CS or things like that, and that will help them to grow. So I think that is, law is not a restrictive field, is what I believe, and that is why I think people can explore a lot of things with respect to law. So I think that is one thing about law. So that is, yeah. So what was the other part of the question?
About your reasons for basically pursuing law.
Yeah, so reasons was just this, that I loved arguing. Like I just loved arguing. Like I could argue on anything and everything.
Mom, we know it
Yeah.
very well.
So I was just like, "Acha, ye hai, to I will put out a logic and contend this and then like this." I mean, till date, my mother tells me that you don't have to be a lawyer for everything. Like you need to behave like a non-law person. I mean, but you can't. Like till date, I tell this to a lot of my students also, that there will be a point of time in your life where it will be really difficult for you to communicate with non-law people because you don't understand what sort of logic and reasoning they come up with. This is, I mean, I'm not demeaning any other profession, but it's just how a lawyer's brain works. So I think that development is, I think, amazing. That has led me till here, and I'm just still doing this. I think that is
Wow, we can relate and we know it very well. So now coming to our second question. So ma'am, we wanted to know that whether mooting, research paper and debate, what is the importance of these things in the law school basically?
Okay, so I think the reason why, firstly, people indulge in mooting, debating, or anything other uh, extracurricular activities or co-curricular activities, to be precise, is because uh, I think somewhere down the line, all of us can study and we can reach to a bare minimum average marks, but it's these activities that give you the edge. A lot of people believe that mooting is doesn't really make sense because when you go to the court, it's not really the same. Because initially, I think what we start with is that you should moot because that gives you an experience of a court like thing. But when you actually go to the court, it's very different. So what is the point of mooting? But I just feel that all these activities that you spoke about, so we'll start with mooting first. Mooting gives you the kind of understanding of law which I think no other activity can give you. Because if you have a factual proposition at your hand, and if you have to analyze it and put forth arguments from one side, your brain will just like wander in directions that you never thought you could think about, or like, and this is when your research comes into picture. And so like when you are writing a memorial, or when you're making a memorial, basically it's all about research. Like it's about how, what kind of points you find, and how, like, you use it in your behalf. Then comes the drafting part. Like, of course, then drafting becomes very essential. So that is when you start writing memorials, which also helps you with your research papers. A lot of colleges, especially if you want to apply abroad for your masters or things like that, for them research papers hold the most value. So that gives you definitely an edge. Debating, I think, is helpful a lot in your shaping of how you speak, what you speak, and how your brain works at the last moment, because that is what happens in the court. Like, you'll go before the judge will ask you a lot of questions, and to be able to uh, put forth things in a manner that is not is helpful to your case is something that becomes very important. So I think all these three activities are very important in a law school, because it one shapes you as a person also. Like, I have seen personally a change in myself, that I was that kind of a student who wouldn't even interact with people. But I have moved from that to till date I'm teaching a batch of 60 students and talking publicly. Like, I was very scared of even talking at a public platform. So I think all of these things help. And research, I feel, is the most important thing for any law person. I wouldn't even say law student. Anybody who's into law has to do research, or has to have that kind of skill. And that is there for every uh,
Every field.
field. Be it you in a law firm, you're doing litigation, you're in academics, anywhere. Like, you're doing your masters, anywhere, I think your research comes into picture.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And coming to the third question, can you please share your strategy and experiences as to how to win a moot? And also, if you could share your personal achievements in mooting, mediation, and arbitration.
Okay. So, firstly, as I told you, I was this kid who wouldn't really talk to a lot of people. I didn't know. So for me, law school was very overwhelming. Like, because I was suddenly meeting people from different walks of life. I had come out of my comfort zone, which happens with every first year
Yes.
student. Everybody has been there. But when for me personally, what happened was, when I started mooting, I realized that, you can do wonders without just even interacting with a lot of people. So that is something that helped me. Second, mooting personally. So, okay, I started with my mooting career with a national moot, that was the Ranka Moot Court competition of Rajasthan University, where honestly we barely submitted our memorial. So things that was in my second year. Then, when I came in my third year and I had an opportunity, so I've done my bachelor's from NIRMA. So, I had the opportunity to participate in the Hong Kong University's intra-area moot court competition. So we were a team of four of us, and we also had a coach. So she had already participated in Viz Vienna and other arbitration moot court competition. So fortunately, so I think one thing that was really helpful during also my mooting career is your team. Your team is the utmost important factor when it comes to mooting. So I think the first and the most important strategy is to form a team that you are comfortable with. Yet it's not like, they won't really work, because at a lot of instances what I've seen is that people form teams because you are friends with them, and like, how can you leave them and things like that. But I don't think that should only be the criteria. Mooting also helps you make new friends, and like, you get to know a lot that probably you didn't know that you could do. For example, like, I know that when it comes to summarization of facts, I am not good at it, but I had teammates who could do it like quickly. So you need individual talents or skill sets that is there. So it's not just, I think the first thing is your team formation shouldn't just be on friendship, that, oh, because we are friends and let's form a team. So I think that's completely something that you should rule out, because that's not really going to help you. The second thing that we did was, you should definitely read the problem as many times as possible. So literally we sat down, we had like a 60-page mood problem. So we sat down and all of us read the mood problem 5 times at least. Like, it was a mandate. We would sit with a notebook and a pen, and we would note down important facts that we would feel, and we've read the problem 5 times at least. And this has been throughout all the moods that I have participated. This strategy is something that has helped me the most, because I think if you can convince the judge on facts, or convince anybody on facts. The law doesn't really, like, you can always be a bit here and there on law, but if you can convince them on the facts, I think that is another very important thing. So that's what we would do. Then of course comes the research part of it. Now research is a lot of things where resources also come into picture, like what kind of resources there are. So after the Hong Kong moot court competition that we were talking, so of course with respect to the Hong Kong moot competition, it was an ADR moot court competition, and there were around 40 teams from all over the world. There were teams from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India. There were 4 teams from India, and Hong Kong, of course, there were teams. There were teams from Paris, so things like that. So we were around 40 teams, and we were the second runners up in that competition. So that was like a huge, huge thing for a third year law student to go to a first international competition and be at that position. And we were against NLS Bangalore, and we literally, so NLS Bangalore, of course, went to the finals, and it was like a difference of 2 marks. So for us, it was like a huge, huge thing. Like
Yes, ma'am, it was really a great achievement.
And
Because
for a third year student, that too, like a college like Nirma, who had just started their mooting culture, and international moots is something that our seniors had been to, but not really achieved.
it's a kind
something.
of motivation for us
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
For everybody, it was, and I remember the day this when we went to the quarterfinals, then we went to the semis, and like everybody was posting things on social media. The kind of appreciation that our college gave us, so that was like a different feeling altogether. So I think, so I tell students here also that you should never be. So a lot of people come and tell me, oh, we can't participate in Jessup because we don't have resources, we're not that capable, and this. I say that's nothing got to do with it's about the passion, it's about the hard work. Of course, I don't say that in mooting luck doesn't play a role. Of course, there is
It does.
somewhere it does, but I think it's also
Hard work is,
hard work beats everything. If you can put, of course, there are days when you have bad days. Like I know, for example, like when I participated in Jessup, I was so sick, so I can't do anything. Like that is something that you can't do. There are factors beyond your control. Or for example, like for us, like I had also gone to this competition in Washington, which was the Intra-American Human Rights Moot competition. Now for me to go all the way to US, that was my 4th year of law school alone. So I had no idea what's happening, and there were various things that happen when you go to a new country. So that time those factors will play their role, and you can't really do a lot about it. So you can't, of course, say that oh, hard work to kiya tha, but kya mila. So I don't think it's that. The hard work will always reward you. So the other strategy that we follow is, when it comes to drafting, you shouldn't use a lot of jargons. Like you shouldn't beat around the bush, and you shouldn't use a lot of flowery language, because understand, if you are writing a more proposition that will be evaluated, and the judges will probably be reading that the memorial, they will be reading it for the first time or the second time. So you understand, they just know the basic facts of the case, and then they're directly reading your memorial.
So it should be basically simple and
It
straight.
it
to the
shouldn't
point.
be. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use legal language. Of course, you should use legal language, but it shouldn't be like too much of. So you're putting jargon so that other people can't understand. So it should be as like you can easily have a conversation with someone and they can understand. But of course, grammar and things like that you should take care of. But I feel like a lot of things matter in drafting, which is footnoting. Footnoting is very important. So I think that is also one thing that you should look for when you are choosing a teammate, as to whether they know how to do footnoting. Even if not thoroughly, like they have that understanding of how to do footnoting. So that also helps a lot. After I think all of this is done, one thing I strongly believe is that your memorial should be prepared at least 2 days before the actual submission date. So before that is done, you should actually take a print of the final memorial and do a proofreading. Because when you sit down, take the hard copy, you start checking, you realize that, oh, there were so many mistakes. Like for us, I think the reason why till date I feel that we could go ahead till that level was
second
also
runners up.
because we had ensure that every dot was at the right place. We had taken prints, we had counted words, we ensured that every dot was at the right place. So I think that kind of preparation you should have there. And I'd suggest this to everybody here also, that if you have your deadline on a particular date, at least 2 days before you should be done with your memorial. You shouldn't. I mean, people say time nahi milta, ye nahi milta, but if
You
you're doing
need
this,
to take out
yeah,
time. You need to have
you're doing
priorities.
this, you're doing this. So that is it. Other thing, I think you should stop feeling that you're doing this for the institution. A lot of people come from this कि हमें ये नहीं मिलता, हमें वो नहीं मिलता, ये हम college के लिए करते हैं. But I don't think it's just that you do it for your college. It's something that you do for your personal achievement also. So that you should always keep in mind. It's not that you're just doing something for the college. So I think these are small things. Of course, when it comes to oral submissions, you have to take care of a lot of things, and the most important thing I feel is how you present yourself. As like, you have to be properly dressed. You can't be shabbily dressed. You can't, like, not wear appropriate clothes and things like that. So I think that is also something that you need to take care of. Other than, of course, the way you speak and things.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. So we just wanted to know regarding your LLM experience as well, and what do you think to choose as a walk of life now?
Okay, so LLM, I think, is something which is very individual specific. So I feel that if you are in a position, because for a lot of people, they're not even in a position to, like, just after the law school start their masters, or a lot of people ask me whether, oh, we should go out for LLM or not. But I just feel that a master's degree will definitely add a feather in your cap, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do in future. So for example, when I did my LLM, I was clear that I don't want to do litigation. I was clear I don't really want to join a law firm. So I was somewhere diverting towards research, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, let's just do this LLM, because for research and academics, LLM becomes important. Like for academics, you need to have an LLM degree, and only then you can be appointed as an assistant professor. But when it comes to litigation, or when it comes to law firm, I don't think LLM just after passing out is that much of requirement. My LLM journey was something which really made, so my LLM is in international trade law from National University Jodhpur. So that was the first time that I was studying that subject, and today I'm in love with that subject. So I think all credits goes to my masters, and because of the fact that I have a specialization in international trade law, there are so many places that I can visit, that I can explore, because there are very less people who are into international trade law specifically. There are people who do masters in international law and things like that, but international trade law specifically is something that not a lot of people have, and which is something that helps me go places. Like, I can go to a place and be like, I have this specialization, and they want to take me because I have that specialization, or just like hear me out, like if I go for conferences or things like that. So I think that becomes very important when it comes to research, even if like people are looking for research jobs or research associates, research assistants, research fellows. So I think it would LLM really helps you, because one, there's this other thing that you have to make your dissertation, which is equivalent to a PhD thesis, almost equivalent to a PhD thesis. So that is there. Coming to the walk of life, I think the only thing I really want to do right now is pursue my PhD, which I think is the need of the hour for us and everybody. So I think yes, but I think I love academics. I don't think I want to ever leave this leave doing this what I'm doing right now. Like, I love going out of the class, teaching. I know there are good days, bad days, but I think there is nothing else that I want to do in my life. That I am clear with.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out time and
Thank
sharing your
Thank you
experience.
so much for giving me this
And just
opportunity.
one last question. Anything like other than this you would like to share with the readers of SCC?
I think I just feel that you should always give time to your law career. There might be a stage where you know from your first year what you want to do, but there might be a stage where you're in your fifth year and you don't know what you want to do, or even forget law school. You've actually graduated, you're doing something and you're not sure whether this is the right thing for you or not. I think when it comes to law, you will definitely find your passion. So wait for it. That will come to you. Just wait for it. So I think that is there. Other than that, I think explore as much as you can, because law gives you that opportunity, that explore as much as you can. So don't hesitate in exploring that, oh, today if I'm going to be a clerk with some judge and then later I'm going to switch to a law firm, how's that going to work? Yes, of course, there are things like your CV will should reflect a particular thing and things like that, but that's okay. You're looking out for yourself. So don't think, "Ki, acha, what will people think?" or things like that. So I think just go out and explore yourself. That is about it.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.